I love that man, Bobby Robinson. Go see his show. He has a great podcast also. One of the most talented, I mean super talented musicians on the planet. If you've ever watched his podcast, He has a young lady that he works with, and he does all this recording in his studio. When you watch him play that keyboard, it's almost I mean, I've seen it with Frankie, but when he does it on his show, he has the freedom to go all different ways. Robbie Robertson, if you're watching, there's only one of you. Never to be another. You're incredible.
Hello, everybody out there in Jammin' Java land, or should I say, as Bob Sneed is just saying, good evening to all of you jammers out there. Hello, Bob Sneed from Litchfield. Hello, George, one of the whiz kid experts of all things Four Seasons. Hello, Ruth. Hello, Shar. Hello, Senior B. With all your star guests, you haven't premiered a song, and you know, you're right. I really haven't had a chance. I've been so busy with other stuff that I have not had a chance to get any new songs out on Robbie's records. And so my game plan is 2 weeks from tonight, we are going to have a new release on Robbie's records. And the song is going to be Lord of Life with Andrea Hammond. And we're going to that's going to be released 2 Mondays from now. And by the way, next Monday, might as well put in a little, or do I have it now? Let me see here. Next week on Jammin' Java, might as well get we're going to have Burley Drummond from the band Ambrosia and his family band, Tin Drum. And now his wife, Mary Drummond, also plays in the band Ambrosia. Burley is one of the founding members he's been the only drummer ever for Ambrosia. And they're still out there touring and doing great. And then their 2 children, that's on if you can look on that picture down there, the gentleman with the beard at the bottom left is Burley Jr., and then his sister is Sierra. And so the 4 of them are like the new Partridge Family on steroids, and they are really, really good. And we're going to have all 4 of them on and debuting their new record and all kinds of fun stuff. So next Monday, Burley Drummond from the band Ambrosia and his family band, Tin Drum Family Band, are going to be with us next Monday. Let's see what else. Who else is on here? We got. So there's your answer, Senior B. Hello, Richard. Nice to see you. Myrna Snow, thank you for joining us again. Anna Samanamu. Robbie and the Jammers crew. All right. Jennifer Green. Hello. Yeah, I'm glad it's Monday night, too. Pete Lauschis from St. Louis. Myrna. And Larry Vasaki in the house. Hello, KP. Thanks for everything you do. Steve Zemko. Hello. Jerry Hayes and Bert Lansden in the house. Hello, Paula Owsley. So let's get this show on the road because we've got a lot of stuff tonight. Of course, tonight we're going to have our segment coming up actually pretty darn soon with the Beach Boys Talk with Matt and Greg Coffey. And then, of course, a little later, we're going to have our Route 66 chick segment. And, of course, we're going to have our special guest tonight is going to be Noah Rivera, who just completed his a month run of playing the role of Frankie Valli in Jersey Boys out here in La Mirada, and I had a chance to go see that the other night, and it was really, really a cool show. But we always start with a word of prayer. By the way, happy Mother's Day to all of you mothers out there, or anybody that is appropriate for. I hope you had a fantastic, amazing, stupendous day yesterday, and we're just going to carry on the Mother's Day celebration tonight. And so let's bring in Pastor Chuck to lead us in prayer. Come on in, Pastor Chuck.
Thank you, Robbie. Good evening, everyone. Hope you had a really great day. Ladies, I hope you had a very nice celebration of Mother's Day yesterday. one of our daughters who lives in Simi Valley put together something for my wife, Marcita, her mom, and her mother-in-law. So it was nice afternoon. And the Nuggets won last night, even better. So I told the congregation yesterday when I filled in for Pastor Barker, the statement that I hope everyone enjoyed Mother's Day is probably the only one I should make, because there are times when I add an additional sarcastic, somewhat humorous remark. At least they're humorous in my thought, and that's when I often get into trouble. So I'll just leave it with, I hope you had a nice day. I have to confess I had a little trouble putting the devotional together for this evening. Robbie told me yesterday that the program was going to be about moms and Mom's Day, which is natural, and I understand that. He did say something about the Dodgers as well. Yeah, right. Last week, I told the story of my mom's response to my statement that I loved her, and that her immediate response was, then clean up your room. One of the women who walked into church yesterday at the front door asked me, is your room clean yet? And of course, the answer is no, just ask my wife. There are a lot of things I could tell you about my mom. She was raised in a German Lutheran community, a small community in Kansas during the Depression. She was one of 8 children. There were 3 boys and 5 girls, and I think she was like number 6 in the birth order. Her father was a Lutheran school teacher. He taught grades 1 through 6 in a one-room schoolhouse. Back during the Depression, that was basically it. She was a gourmet cook, and she loved to entertain. And this is true. She once fixed a full 7-course French dinner for approximately 30 people from their congregation that had been on a trip with them to the Holy Land. She told them to come hungry. They did not do so. And so there was a lot of food left over. My kids were small at that time, and they were eating caviar on crackers like it was jelly on bread until they found out what caviar really is. Last of all, one of the things I'd like to share with you is that she had her positive and her negative aspects to her personality. Well, that's all of us, isn't it? With everything that I haven't said about her, I haven't even begun to scratch the surface. She was a lot of things. She accomplished a lot of things. But I think the most important thing was that she was, first of all, primarily and totally a woman of God. Her faith was not just something that was a one day a week, go to church on Sunday kind of thing, but something which was a part of her life, and a part of her life at home, as well as her work life and all of her life, really. Now, I don't think she would be able to say it this way or articulate it in these words, but when I think of her, her life was an example of what the Apostle Paul meant when he talks about walking in faith and not by sight in Corinthians 5, 2 Corinthians 5. That lesson came from both of my parents because they went through some very difficult times. Life was not always easy for them, but they clung to each other, and they clung to their faith, and they clung to their God. They didn't just talk it, they really lived it. And I remember both my parents being frustrated with a lot of things in life, but handling them through their faith. And things for you might not be good right now, but God is in control. That was their attitude, and the same attitude I would encourage for you as well this evening. But I do want to ask you to think about where you are, what's going on in your life. Are things going downhill, or are all your relationships good, or is there something that's negative or toxic there that's causing you problems? How about health concerns, or maybe struggling financially? people at work, or this or that or the other thing. We've got all kinds of things that can get in the way and interrupt us and bother us, aren't there? There are no easy answers, no quick fixes to any of our problems or our difficulties in life. But there is a God who has promised that he will never leave us, he will never abandon us, he will never forsake us. A God who, as David says in Psalm 23, he is with us, even as we go through the valley of the shadow of death. That same God that promises that nothing will ever be able to separate us from his love that is in Christ Jesus our Lord. There are just times when we just don't see how it's going to work out and how God can fix this mess until he does. And that's what walking in faith is all about. Let's pray. Father in heaven, we thank you for the examples of faithfulness you set before us. Thank you for the gifts of love that come to us through your servants, whether they be parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents, other family members, or the examples we see as we gather together in worship. May those examples encourage and strengthen us and help us to walk. Thank you for the forgiveness of sins and the life that is ours through the faith you have created in us. May we walk faithfully every day of our lives. Be with those who are going through difficult times, Father, and surround them with your love. Hear the cries of our hearts as we name people for whom we are concerned and meet their needs, Father. Bless them and be with them. Assure them of your presence. And bless our time together this evening. In Jesus' name, amen. So back to you, Robbie. Have a great time tonight, everyone, and God bless.
Lonely hearts, troubled hearts, hearts burdened and heavy with life. Jesus came to bring heaven to our hurt, healing undeserved. A brand new heart, a brand new start. With his sacrifice we're set apart. By his power, by his grace, by his love. Thank you, Jesus, for a brand new start. With a brand new heart. Now as your church we beat with one heart. As we stand upon your word we sing one song. May we speak words of healing, may our praise rise to you. Out of thanksgiving for a heart renewed. My heart is beating with a hymn to you. My heart is pounding with a life brand new. A brand new heart, a brand new start. With his sacrifice we're
Amen. Thank you, Jesus, for a brand new heart, and thank you, mothers out there, for praying hands and again, big blessings to each one of you mothers out there and everybody that applies to on this day after Mother's Day. But we're going to keep the celebration going. Actually, that's a song you probably haven't heard for a long, long time. That's a song that I wrote with Andrea Hammond. And as I mentioned, in 2 weeks, we're going to unveil the latest release on Robbie's Records, which is going to be Lord of Life, a song that I wrote with, another song I wrote with Andrea. But that was the Trinity Praise Team. And, of course, we are at Trinity Lutheran Church every Sunday morning, 9 a.m., and we're broadcast live. So come on and worship with us if you don't have a home church. It's better always to go to your home church wherever you can. But at the same time, if you can't make it, come on and worship with us. And we're one of the cool things I love, too, they even broadcast our services over the radio in my beloved hometown of Litchfield, Illinois. And that's a blessing. WSMI Radio, that's 9 o'clock California time, 11 o'clock Litchfield time. Is that a thing? Litchfield time, Central Time Zone, I guess you would call it. Oh, it's been such a wild week. You know, and Tony Orlando, who is our dear friend, and he was our guest a couple weeks ago, he was just on, let me see here if I've got the right clip here, on the Jim Masters show. Jim Masters, actually, that was today, or a little bit earlier today. Now, Jim Masters has this great TV show, and a couple years ago I was a guest on his show. But you can go back and see any of his Jim Masters TV, I guess. I don't happen to have the login information, but it's pretty easy to find. Jim Masters show. Today his guest was Tony Orlando. Of course, Tony, having just retired about a month ago, has got a whole new chapter in the saga of Tony Orlando. And he is such a creative guy and one of the nicest people in our business. As a matter of fact, Saturday night on WABC radio out of New York, his whole 2-hour show was Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, and I got to be a guest on that show Saturday night. I'll get a clip of that, and I'll play some of that show next weekend. One of the cool things that, there's the beat. The Four Seasons, of course, have been known as the East Coast-oriented vocal group of all time, maybe. And then there was a West Coast group called the Beach Boys. And I like to think of the Beach Boys as like the West Coast Four Seasons. But we have a couple of my buddies that we're going to have on, and they have their own show called Beach Boys Talk. I've been a guest on their show, and we're starting a new segment now, having them check in with us. So let's see if we can get them into the picture. Here we go.
Beach Boys, we're talking Beach Boys, 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 Beach, woo.
Put your hands together for Matt and Greg Coffey, the Beach Boys Talk Whiz Kids.
What's going on, Robbie? How are you?
You guys are. I have another screen. Let me see if I can bring that in because I think it's even cooler. Let's see if it works. Hey, it does work.
Wow,
there we go.
Well.
Hey, we're going high tech here at Jam and Java Land.
I love it. Robbie, how are you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you doing? You've been traveling around, haven't you, Greg?
Yeah, been around, but finally back home and getting some yard work done. So it's good to be back into getting back to normal.
Well, you guys have such a cool show, Beach Boys Talk, of course, and like I just mentioned, I kind of think of the Beach Boys as the West Coast Four Seasons. I don't know if you agree with that.
Love it. I do. I think, Matt, do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you want to technically the Four Seasons came a little before the Beach Boys, so I like to think even Brian Wilson said some of his inspiration has come from the Four Seasons. So I think that's an apt
Yeah.
comparison, especially when you think about the culture they were trying to express, on both sides of the country, and then musically the harmonies, of course.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
question about it. And they both we talked about this before, but the model, the inspiration for both groups were the Four Freshmen, and they both kind of modeled their harmonies on that group.
That's right. Yeah. And you can hear it in different ways. It's pretty interesting how, my brother and I both love the Four Seasons and the Beach Boys, but when you listen to them together, they're not. I mean, like I said, in style, they're very different, and their songs are very different. But the way those harmonies and the way those songs are written, they just kind of hit us that way. Where the music really moves us. And that's what good music does, I think. So.
And they really
Yeah.
do. And I think there was a parallel, of course, with Bob Gaudio and Brian Wilson, too, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. Both were kind of studio rats, if that's a term. They didn't like touring. They'd rather be making using the studio as another instrument, so to speak. Making art in there instead of being out hearing all the screaming fans and things like that. So
That is interesting. I hadn't thought about that parallel, but Bob Gaudio. Now, Brian was the first one to kind of get off the road. I'm not sure the official year that he got off the road, mid to late 60s, right? Somewhere in there.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
60, 65 ish. Yeah,
And then Bob got off the road in the early 70s. And have you guys seen Jersey Boys?
Oh yeah.
I've
Well,
only seen the movie. Greg got to see the play though, right?
well,
So
brother, you got to
Yeah.
go see okay, let's put this out there too. The movie is good. The play is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
You've
Agreed.
got
Well,
to
it's like
see the play.
it's like anything. I mean, it's just like listening to your favorite band. There's listening to Frankie Valli sing Sherry, but then you
Uh-huh.
see him live with Robbie in the middle, at Cleveland Playhouse Square, and seeing your favorite band live is a different deal. That was really I'm not a Broadway guy either. In fact, I'm not gonna say I don't like Broadway, but I'm not a Broadway musical fan. But that was a different deal. That was really cool. Really enjoyed that.
It was a different
Yeah,
deal. And my guest a little later on in the show is Noah Rivera, who tours
of
with us
course.
with Frankie Valli. He's
Yeah.
one of our background singers, but he played the last month. He played the role as Frankie Valli in the La Mirada cast of Jersey Boys, which was really really cool.
So
you
neat.
gotta have chops to sing all that music.
You do.
So it's got
And
to be
I
tough.
saw something. I knew Noah had chops on all kinds, but he did a couple of things in the show that blew me away because there's a moment in the show where Frankie comes. Now did not happen in real life. This is added for the play, but he comes out front and does this big dance spin around and then does a split. And
Wait, I
Noah
could have
did
swore
it.
I
He
saw
killed.
Frankie do that once. Frankie
Yeah.
never did that?
You were dreaming that, just like you saw Brian Wilson do it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Those are probably the last guys I'd ever see do that. Yeah.
I am really thankful to you guys because you guys have been super gracious to allow us to broadcast this show on
Yeah.
your Beach Boys platform, on your Beach Boys channel. Thank you for doing that so much.
Yeah, well, Robbie, you kind of mentioned it early in the show, but there's two very different sounds, the Beach Boys and the Four Seasons. But I bet if you ask a lot of Four Seasons fans, do they enjoy the Beach Boys music, and back, vice versa? I think that there's probably a lot of folks that would. So it's kind of a no-brainer. It's like, oh well, we got a lot of wonderful folks that enjoy our show, and I know that they would love this one. So I'm happy that they're here, and hopefully we can keep getting more and more coming on. And we love having you on the show, Robbie. It's really a treat.
Well, I love having you guys on too. And I've got to, if your last name is Coffee, you got to be on Jam and Java. It's just a given, right?
Yeah, of
Oh
course.
yeah, yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
That's a
and
must.
also, maybe most of the folks watching know now, but just in case they don't, you will also appear on our show weekly as well for a little segment, and we love that. It's such an honor to have you on a 4 season on our show every week is so cool.
It's fun. It is really fun.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to that. Now, your show is tomorrow night. Tell the audience when your show is, how they get to your show. I guess I should have it up here, but I don't. But and what your show is going on. What's going on with your show tomorrow night?
Yeah, so you can find us. Beach Boys Talk is that we have a Facebook group, we have a Facebook page, we also have a YouTube channel. All you have to type in Beach Boys Talk, one big word, and the show starts at 8 p.m. Eastern. But we always run the show a little bit earlier so that way all of our friends can chat with each other because chatting is a big part of our show. But tomorrow night we're gonna have a Q&A with Bobby Figueroa, who was Beach Boys drummer starting in the early mid 70s with Dennis, and of course played on Dennis's solo albums.
Oh,
Was a good friend
wow.
of Dennis.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and we were lucky enough to last time I was in Los Angeles, Matt and I recorded a cover of a Beach Boys song that Dennis wrote with him singing on it. And so tomorrow we're going to play that for the first time for all of our folks, and then of course it'll be available on iTunes and Spotify and that kind of thing. So we're really looking forward to that. So thank you, George. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
We
how do you
love
like
George,
that?
too.
That's nice. Kudos, George. Music for All Seasons.
Yeah.
Applauding the Beach Boys show. So you know you got
Yeah.
something going
So
on then.
It's gonna be fun. We hope everybody can join us. But yeah, like Matt said, you're gonna be on tomorrow too. Hopefully you can join us for a little
Yep,
bit.
yep.
And
I look for it.
that's just
Forward
gonna
to
be
it.
so cool. We love having you on. Yeah, it's really great.
Hey, we were talking the other day too about how, and I'm still pretty naive about this. Maybe you could help to explain it to the audience how people can actually share this show so it can be broadcast in
Oh, sure.
multiple platforms. Can you explain that?
Absolutely. If you're a fan of Robbie, if you're a fan of what we have going on here tonight, all you have to do is hit the share, hit the like button first. Let them know that you really like the show. And on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, usually or on the phone, there's a little like, there's a thumbs up. If you hit that, you can like it. And then even better is on right next to the like button, they'll see a little arrow that says share. And you can share that on your Facebook page, on your Facebook profile for all of your friends to check out. And it really does a lot to help promote the show. So if you love Robbie, if you love Jam and Java, if you're enjoying what you're watching, click that share button and share it with all your friends, because you never know who else might also enjoy this show. And it's really helpful to us as content creators to get the word out. Because if you imagine, there's 150 people on, if everybody hits the share button, it goes out to, it's kind of, the growth is exponential. So it's really helpful. So hit that share button if you can. That would be great.
Very cool. That's that was beyond my pay grade, actually. So thanks for explaining that.
Well, thank you, Charlotte. And Charlotte, I love your name. Charlotte is one of my favorite names ever. I think it's a great name.
So tell me more about your show tomorrow night then with Bobby Figueroa is going to be on. And tell me about the song that you guys recorded.
So the song we recorded is called Baby Blue. Dennis wrote it with a couple other writers, Karen Lamb and another person I can't remember right now. But the song originally premiered on the Beach Boys' 1979 album, the Light album. And it's actually the last song that Dennis had on a Beach Boys album. He passed in 1983. The Beach Boys had an album in 1980. I believe he played drums on one of the tracks on there, but didn't feature another song. So it's powerful that way. And, Greg and I have done a couple of covers already. And when we thought about our next one, we just thought, we've had Bobby on the show before. He's been nice to us. And Bobby was at the original sessions for the Light album. He was on the session for Baby Blue with Dennis. Dennis was one of his best friends. And I can't wait for tomorrow night, because when you hear his vocal, it's perfect. It's emotional. It's everything you want. It's everything I expected. But we just wanted to do, first of all, honor to the Beach Boys, but also in this case to Bobby, because he, a lot of the guys in the band that don't get that recognition, who went out on all those tours and played on the records and all that. So we're hoping it does well just for him, so everybody can hear him, because it's really going to be awesome. I can't wait.
Wow, I can't wait either. That's going to be super cool tomorrow night, you guys. So I will be there, and I invite all the audience tomorrow. So that's 5 o'clock California time, 8 o'clock Eastern time, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
and
correct.
I do want to say one more thing. Sorry. Props to my brother though, because I kind of get the benefit of his musicianship. I got to come in town and sing some oohs on the background, but my brother played all the instruments on the track. He sings part of the lead, and then Bobby sings the middle part. My brother's so talented. I'm grateful to be part of it. So that's something everybody needs to know when they hear that tomorrow too. It's his creation, Obviously, it's a Dennis Wilson Beach Boys song, but Greg recreated it, and we put a little bit of our own spin on it too. So I can't wait.
Wow. Well, kudos to Greg. That's really nice things to say about your brother. I love that. Now, you guys have I know that you have a very musical family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so you must have had a musical mom. It was Mother's Day yesterday. Talk about your mother and your family.
I was just about to ask you, Robbie, because I noticed it was a Mother's Day special, and I wanted to hear how your mom influenced your music. But our mom is a phenomenal piano player, and she played piano, and she can sight read like nobody's business. And I always thought that was amazing because I hated reading music. I'd rather just listen to it. But she can read it like a book, and of course, she was always very supportive.
Now, how many brothers and sisters in your family? How many kids?
There's 9 of us total.
That was pretty impressive in itself.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And she really kind of cultivated our love for any kind of music, really. But I remember when I was a kid going through her old record collection, and she had, there was Surfin' Safari, All Summer Long. Dion, I think, but probably even the Four Seasons. And so I remember my first introduction to a lot of those bands from the 60s was the actual vinyl records, which was cool. But she's very musical, and she came from a musical family too, right? Jazz musicians, my grandfather and my great grandfather. So she kind of had it in her and passed it down to us. So
see, that does not surprise me at all. That you guys come from a musical family. I mean, a musical parents. My mom, who I'm going to talk about in just a couple minutes here, was she was a piano player and a musician, and she influenced me so incredibly. I mean, without her, I would not be in the music business. I mean, she's definitely the one who put it there. And she was a piano teacher, got me started, and then she was smart enough to send me to another piano teacher, but she encouraged me, inspired me, and sacrificed for me forever. And then she was my biggest fan through the years. We lost her last August, which was very sad, but she's left a great legacy.
Yeah, was she able to come? I mean, obviously with Frankie, was she able to come see you play often, or?
Hundreds and hundreds of times through the years,
How special was that?
She had to be so proud, right?
She really, and Frankie loved her. He really loved my mother and had such a special place in his heart for her. As a matter of fact, I'm going to segue to some talking about my mom. I thank you guys for coming on the show. And I thank you guys for what you do in so many respects. And I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow night on Beach Boys Talk.
Thank you, Robbie.
Can't wait.
Always
Looking
an honor.
forward to it. Thank you for having us.
All right, guys. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hey, that was the great Greg and Matt Coffey, and those guys are talented. 9 kids. Hey, how amazing is that? And I've heard them sing. They both are great musicians. So don't let Matt mentioned that he's not that much of a musician, but Greg is actually extraordinary. So let me talk about my mom. Actually, let's go to my mom, because pretty soon we're going to be bringing in Noah Rivera. So I've got some pictures here of Mom. So there is my mom, and 100 years ago, I was born down in Texas, and my mom Barb. Her maiden name was Barb Brummett. Of course, she married my dad, Max Robinson, and that was down in Texas. And then I moved up to Litchfield we all moved up to Litchfield when I was 3 years old. That's my grandfather, Herb Robinson, from Litchfield. They're just part of the gang. Oh, there's Frankie, us backstage with Frankie, and part of the gang with my mom, you can see there. That's back in the 80s. She did, to answer Greg's question, yeah, she came around all over the place to see me perform, all over the world, actually. My mom, one of the amazing things about Mom was, there we are playing. Now, that's later. This is when she was in a nursing home. There she is in my studio, making things go. You can probably recognize that behind me here. There's Frankie and Mom. He really, really, really did like my mom so much. Here's a newspaper article by my mom back in the day, and my mom, well, here, I'll read this because it kind of tells her story. Mrs. Barbara Robinson of Litchfield says she enjoys what she's doing since she enrolled in Southern Illinois University at Edwardsville, and there's no limit to what she's been involved in, both on and off the campus. As a senior at SIUE, Mrs. Robinson has a grade point average of 4.956. Straight A is 5.0. She's a full-time student, worked last quarter in the education. She worked in the education. Where I lost my place here. Last quarter in the education division, 15 hours a week, is a student teaching in Edwardsville this quarter. As a mother of 7 children, in addition to her crowded schedule, Mrs. Robinson traveled each Friday last quarter to the McFarland Center for Emotionally Disturbed Children in Springfield for training sessions. She's also a volunteer worker in classes for emotionally disturbed in the Metro East and go on, and for many years taught piano lessons and music theory classes. I enrolled as a freshman at the Carbondale campus in 1947 and did not enroll until Edwardsville campus until 3 or 4 years ago. What she had done is in 1967 she went back to college after 1 year in Carbondale. I decided to major in music with piano as my special interest, but when I transferred to the Edwardsville campus years later, I thought special education would be more doors for job opportunities. She was pretty smart not pursuing a music career. As a matter of fact, here's a side story. So I'm a freshman, I had 1 year in college, and in my sophomore year, I was a music major at SIU Edwardsville, Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville. And my mom went back to school as a sophomore, and she was in the music department. And I was trying to be this cool rock and roll musician, and here I have my mother in the classes with me. So that was kind of it was pretty wild and crazy to have that. Now, after a few months of her pursuing a music major, she decided to change majors. And here, I'm going to go on with her story. How does she get all her work done at home? My kids do all the work at home. I couldn't do it without them. They're really great and very cooperative. I was out of the house by then, by the way. Mrs. Robinson said the Robinsons live at 710 North Van Buren Street in Litchfield. 4 of the Mrs. Robinson 7 children, aged 17, 15, and 12, still live at home. 1 son is in college at Eastern Illinois University, and 2 of her other sons play in a rock band that is touring the country. That was Rex and I, of course, before Frankie Valli. Asked how she maintained such a high grade point average, Mrs. Robinson said she guesses she was just lucky. Why does she do all this? I just enjoy what I'm doing, she said. My mom was the smartest woman I know, the nicest woman I know, the kindest woman I've ever known, and she has made an extraordinary impact on my life. Here's one of the pictures that I really like of her. There she is, and I'm playing, and there you can see that she's just enjoying what I'm doing, and she followed me all of my life. And again, I've said it a million times, without my mom, in so many ways, I would not be doing what I've done. And so thank you, Mom. We miss you so much. We lost her last August 13th, which was my birthday. But she left a great, 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 amazing legacy. And she is missed, but I'm so thankful that she was my mother. Now, as you probably know, Frankie Valli got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons got a star, I should add. And here's a little bit of a clip from that. Check it out.
Hollywood Walk of Fame ceremony for Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons.
Good morning. I'm Mark Malkin, and I'm so excited to be the MC today as we welcome Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons to the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The Four Seasons was formed in 1960 in Newark, New Jersey. Since 1970, they have been known as Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. The group sold more than 175 million records worldwide. Frankie, come up on stage. Our speaker today is CEO of the Azoff Company and a producer and manager of some of the biggest artists we all know and love. Welcome to the stage, Irving Azoff.
Thank you, sir. Frankie, happy birthday. Happy 90th. How about that, everybody? And I said, what are you going to do for your birthday? He says, I'm going to go play Radio City in New York. Go ahead. Happy birthday. It's fantastic. Happy birthday to you. Yay. How great is that? From his Newark, New Jersey hometown, where he has a street named after him, to Hollywood Boulevard, where he's being honored today with a star on the Walk of Fame, I give you a national treasure who can still hit all the high notes. Please welcome to the Hollywood Walk of Fame, the one and only Frankie Valli, truly a man for all seasons.
On behalf of the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, I now declare today Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons Day in Hollywood.
Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for coming here. You know, it's hard to believe that this whole thing started when I was about 14 or 15 years old, and I did my very first performance in front of an audience, and that was a school recital where I sang White Christmas a cappella. And who would have ever dreamed that it would have gone this far? Thank you all for coming, and it's been great.
Oh, what a day that was. That was last Friday, a week ago, this past Friday on May 3rd. Of course, that was not only the star for Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, but we also got, it was also Frankie Valli's birthday. He was only 90 years old. He's just getting started in this business, I'll tell you that. But now we've got, if you watch that video very closely, you saw when the whole group picture was, the guy that was standing in the picture on Frankie's left, on our right as we look at the picture, is our buddy Noah Rivera. Now, Noah Rivera not only tours with us, with Frankie Valli, but he just finished a month-long run as playing the role of Frankie Valli in the hit musical Jersey Boys, and he is our guest right now. So everybody put your virtual hands together for my buddy Noah Rivera. Hey, Noah.
Hey, hey.
Is that more applause than you got at the theater? I don't know. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me.
It was so cool to go see you play the role of Frankie Valli in Jersey Boys. And one of the things that struck me, and I mentioned it to you, and I can't think of any other incident of this happening. If anybody has shared the stage touring with Frankie Valli and who has also played the role of Frankie Valli in Jersey Boys, what was that like?
Yeah, that was really special. It was really incredible to, to know Frank. I was in Jersey Boys in Las Vegas for 3.5 years before touring with you guys.
Uh-huh.
And so this time, it was definitely different. It was very special knowing Frank and being able to just take what I've learned from him and tell his story. And to it was an honor to do that, and it was very special to me to try to make sure I did it well and did it right and with a lot of respect. So it was really, really cool, and it felt special. It felt really special.
Oh, I could feel the respect from the stage that you have for Frankie Valli. And you had some nuance that actually I don't think anybody could have if they didn't know Frankie Valli as well as you know him. Share something with the audience about that.
Yeah, it was really cool to be able to, put things into the show, into the character that, I was saying at some of the talkbacks we had that this isn't just a role or a character. This is a very real person. And so knowing him now more closely, being able to do little things that he does in real life that are just natural to him that that are now starting to become natural to me because I've been doing them so much now, but just little mannerisms and things that he does, to really ground myself in the role, but in the real, person of Frankie Valli. And it luckily I think came across, and it really grounded the role that I was playing as a real person, which he very much is. So it was very cool. And that is a huge honor to be the only person ever to be a real Four Season and play Frankie Valli on stage. It's something that is really special to me.
It is, and it's really special. You're the only person on the planet to ever do that, brother.
Man, that's pretty wild to think about.
And the timing worked out perfect because we were home here, and we're looking forward to you to come back in the band here and touring with us. Our next gig is at Mohegan Sun, right?
Yeah, definitely in June 7th, right?
Yep, June 7th, and then on the road again, brother.
Yeah, I can't wait. I love being
on the road. You are on the road now because you're driving home from La Mirada, right? Back to home in Las Vegas.
Yeah, heading back to Las Vegas. We just closed last night, so I'm in the car, pulled over, made sure I had some reception.
I love this. By the way, the reception is working out great.
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, it's good.
By the way, George of Music for All Seasons says, I had the pleasure of meeting Noah at the Valley Star dedication. A very nice individual Noah is.
No, that's very sweet.
And by the way, that guy, George, Music for All Seasons, he is one of the real super-duper experts on everything Four Seasons. He knows way more than I know, I can tell you that.
That's amazing.
It is pretty cool. I have a pretty cool little clip. Let me see if I've got it, if I can.
Okay.
This is before the ushers came and shushed me, I grabbed a little bit of video. So don't tell anybody out there. Don't show this, or else the police may come and knock down my door or something. Now let me see if I can find that video. It is. It's not there. It's not there. Well, I thought I had it. Let me see here. Well, while I look for this video, why don't you share some of your background doing Jersey Boys before and some of your other Broadway experience?
Sure. Yeah, I was out in New York for a number of years doing a few Broadway shows. My Broadway debut was Wicked. I did Wicked for 2 years. Then I went over and did the original cast of Shrek the Musical, which we filmed, and it ended up on DVD and Blu-ray and Netflix, and I believe it's on Broadway HD now. And then I went over and did the closing company of In the Heights with Lin-Manuel Miranda and Christopher Jackson and just a bunch of amazing people over there. Corbin Bleu and Jordan Sparks. And really loved doing that show as well. And then from there, my daughter was born out in New York, and we decided to move back to California. Came back to LA, started working out here. And then from LA, ended up booking Jersey Boys in Las Vegas. So went out to do that. I was only going to be there for 6 months, and I ended up staying for 3.5 years. So I was doing that out there for 3.5 years, covering 4 different roles, including Frankie Valli. So that was a really cool experience. But doing it then, I thought I was all right. But doing it now definitely is a whole different ballgame.
You did a fantastic job. I was absolutely blown away. Here, let me see if I've got some of these pictures from.
And this cast was amazing. I mean, this really was, like, in my opinion, the best Jersey Boys I've definitely seen or been a part of. This whole cast was incredible, Broadway caliber. It was just the sets, the lighting design, the costumes, hair, makeup, everybody was amazing.
And it's amazing to me you pulled it off so quickly, because how many rehearsals did you guys have?
Yeah, we had 9 rehearsals, 9 days of rehearsal before we went into the theater, and we had to put up quickly, and a lot of hard work from everybody on the team. Great direction from TJ Dawson, Dana Salamando, the choreographer. Our stage management team was amazing. Jill, Julian, and Audrey just keeping everybody on track, and we had to, like, be on top of everything. And, and the cast was ready for it.
I mean, and that's a lot to learn in a short time. By the way, I don't know if you know this. Jeff Driscoll was the sax player. Well, he's been in our horn section many times.
Oh, well, there we go. We could have been talking about it. Yeah, we were pretty separated for most of the time. He's up there on the bridge, right?
Yeah. Yep. Let's see. I've got some more pictures. Oh, that's me. You have to. So you guys did and that's a great picture of you guys, the 4 of you guys. That's of course Tommy DeVito, played by who?
Tommy DeVito.
Yeah.
Talbert was playing Bobby Natalini, and Blake Burgess was playing Nick Massey. And these guys are great. It was really great to sing with them and find that cohesive harmony. It was really lovely.
And Talbert came with you to the Hollywood Star situation, right?
Yeah, that's right. Talbert, I brought him as my guest, and that was great. He's such a great guy. He does a great job playing Bob, and so it was. It was really cool for him to come and meet you and meet Frankie, and he was just like over the moon.
That was cool. Let's see. There's Carla and I.
Carla.
Yeah, and of course she's seen Jersey Boys a few times.
I bet
there's you and me, kid.
Hey,
I've got a cool little video. This is one of those clips that I took before the ushers. Just, of course, you're not supposed to take iPhone videos in the show, and I was doing it, and I knew I was going to get busted, and I did. Here it is. Check it out. At least I didn't get kicked out of the show, but you sound so great.
Oh, thank you.
Do you know much of the story of My Mother's Eyes?
Not all of it.
Tell me
is
about it.
That's the first record that Frankie ever did. 1953. How old were you in 1953? I kid.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing that he made his first record in 1953? And
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
it is pretty wild. And that's the first record. Of course, it's in Jersey Boys. And then they recorded it again a few years later. And I heard you sing too, the Moody's Mood for Love, which is not an easy song to sing.
That is a pretty tough song. Yeah.
Eddie Jefferson wrote the lyrics to that, and I actually got to play with him back in the day because Moody's Mood for Love, I don't know if you know the history of that one, but James Moody was a great jazz saxophone player who just happened to be from Newark, New Jersey. And he and Frankie knew each other, interestingly enough, and he did the saxophone solo on I'm in the Mood for Love. The song is I'm in the Mood for Love, and then Moody did this jazz saxophone solo. And then Eddie Jefferson wrote words to it, and it became Moody's Mood for Love. And
Right.
and it's
Yeah, I
been
did know
done
that.
by so many jazz artists. And Frankie, that was one of the songs he used to sing back in the day.
Yeah, that's amazing. So it's that song is all over the place because it's a sax solo basically, yeah?
Yeah, not easy to
those
sing,
vocals
is it?
are up and down all over the place, going through the falsetto back down to through the mix. It's all over the place.
And
It's
you
a really fun
absolutely
song to
killed
sing.
it, brother. You did a great job. I was so impressed with you on
Thank you.
so many levels. Here's another. Well, let's see if I can find that other clip now. Where did it go away here? These clips tend to run away from me in this program that I've got. But
My light is running away from me. I'm gonna try to
I
get
can
some more
see
light in
that.
here.
So we're gonna have to talk fast, aren't we? Now here's a little clip, and I'm gonna have to stop it quickly. Check this out, though, everybody.
You're Italian. You gotta end in a vowel. Delgado, Castelluccio, pizza.
That was part of that scene where you are with Mary Delgado, who was Frankie's first wife. And who was she played by?
Dunn. Marlena Dunn, and she is incredible. She's incredible. I love working with her so much. She's just every day was just organic and different, but true to the story and the intention. But it was just great. It was like a masterclass being on stage with her, and we really enjoyed. I mean, with everybody, but she specifically
She
was
did a
just
great
fantastic.
job. And one of the, by the way, Anthony Calatrella, who is another one of he knows way more than I'll ever know about Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. He mentioned that James Moody family also lived in Stephen Crane Village, where Frankie lived.
Wow.
So, yeah, and we went to see James Moody too, or James Moody came to hear us. That's what it was. And came backstage
fantastic.
after a show one time, and he's no longer with us, but he was one of the legendary saxophone players. Now, I've got this. Where'd those other pictures go here? Let me see if I can find them. It would say Jersey Boys Pics. Let me go back here. There we go. There's you and me.
Marlena just graduated from USD with a master's degree in filmmaking.
I
last
heard
Friday
her
as
mention
well.
that. That's amazing.
Everybody
Matter
in the
of
show is so multi-talented. There we go.
There's the cast. Thanks for having me up to meet the cast. That was really cool.
Yeah, it was an honor for us to talk to you, for you to come up. Thanks for doing that.
So which one is Mary Delgado? Is it the one in the
brunette
gray
here?
sweater?
She's kind of half kneeling in the jeans
Yeah.
and green top, and then
And
Maggie in the yellow dress played Francine.
Pretty super cool.
Yeah, it was great.
One of the things that blew me away that you did, I forgot that this is in the play. And so in that one moment, about 2/3 of the way through the movie, Frankie kind of comes out of his shell as in the character and runs out. You do a couple spins and then a big split. Now, and I forgot that was in there. You killed that, man. Did you have to rehearse that a lot?
Thanks. We kind of threw it in, not last minute, but like we said, we had, not a lot of rehearsal time. So that was something that was in the original Jersey Boys, but not really everybody did it. You know what I mean? Not everybody
Not everybody could do that.
Obviously. Right. Right.
And
so
you're
I've been
not
dancing
19 years old anymore, are you?
I know. One of my friends from college came to see the show, and she was like, the most impressive part was you're still able to do those splits. Because I
That blew
do a
me
couple of
away.
pirouettes, do two turns, and then drop to the splits on the right, back up, and the splits on the left, and then back up another turn, and then go back before we go into Beggin', before we start singing Beggin'. And I love singing Beggin'. That's a great song,
Isn't it?
just
Yeah.
in general. But for that specific part of the show, Frankie's coming into his own. He's upset. He's angry. He's getting that frustration out and just like going for it in this song. So that was a really fun part of the show to do.
And one of the things that impressed me too with you is your dramatic acting range. I've never experienced that, knowing you, as I know you. So kudos to you for that, because that role not only takes you got to have musical chops, dancing chops, but you have to have some acting chops too, brother. What was that like?
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough role. I mean, Frankie's had a legendary life. He's had an incredible life, and that's just why it's such a great story, why it's such a great musical. And like Frankie said, it's not even a musical, it's a play with music. It's just they were doing music at the time, but the story is incredible and the writing is so good. But yeah, so it was already deep to me. I have two daughters, and with Frankie losing Francine and just all the tough things he's been through in his life, and people in and out all the time, but that really hits differently. When we were on the tour bus, when I joined the band 4.5 years ago, we were talking about parenting, Frank and I, on one of the trips, and he totally brought up the story, which of course I knew the story,
of course,
from learning about it, but hearing it from Frankie's own mouth, and talking about my daughters with him, it really is, when I'm out there, just able to tap into like just how heartbreaking that must have been. And obviously I don't know exactly, but it's just, even just imagining it is really, it's just heartbreaking. It's really tough. So trying to just respect that as well, and just, give the audience a glimpse of how tough that must have been, and having to overcome that tragedy and keep going for your other kids and through your life, and trying to still be the success that he is. It's pretty amazing.
I've said a million times, this guy is the most tenacious human being I've ever known. He is driven, and he works harder than anybody, the hardest working man in show business, this guy.
Absolutely. Still to this day, sound check and everything.
Isn't it amazing? I know people.
It's so inspirational. He inspires me. Like when I watch him just on stage, even like I said, just at sound check, when he comes in and has new ideas all the time, I'm just like, this is amazing.
People who see our sound checks and are amazed that Frankie Valli, a star of his magnitude, let alone a star of his age, he's only 90, still comes to every sound check, and he just doesn't go through the motions. He is engaged with every note that we do. And you've witnessed it, but to all the audience out there, he'll say, hey, what's that guitar player doing over there? Hey, can we try this new ending over here, or whatever? Our singers come around here. We've got some ideas. And so he's amazingly tenacious.
Yeah. Even with the way the set list will change, just because, we'll try new things, or he'll add a new song, or he'll, rearrange the order. Yeah, like the new endings of songs, or the new musical breaks. It's pretty wild. It's awesome. It keeps it fresh.
And you can tell then he is not just going through the motions. And one of the most poignant lines personally and to the world, because this play was written, I'm not sure the year, 2002, right around the beginning of 2000, the play was written. But one of the lines in the script was this. When Gyp DeCarlo says to Frankie Valli, because they're going to pay Tommy DeVito's debt to the mob, he goes, Frankie, you're going to be touring till you're 90, and here he is touring till he's 90.
Yep, and I got to do a show that night after the Walk of Fame ceremony. I drove down and did a show that night on Frankie's birthday. So I was on stage and heard that line at Frankie Frankie Valley, and it was just like so interesting and poignant.
It's so neat. Well, I thank you for coming on Jam and Java and sharing some of your experience playing Frankie Valley after rubbing shoulders with him for the last few years. And I'm going to segue into a clip of us a couple years ago at Royal Albert Hall. You remember that gig?
Absolutely. How could I forget? It was amazing.
That was such a cool gig. And this is just a touch of Frankie Valley and the Four Seasons touring. But everybody give a nice round of applause to my buddy Noah Rivera. Thank you, Noah.
Absolutely. I love the cast, the Bomber Rock, Crazy Boys, and to you, Robbie. Thanks for having me.
All right, brother.
It was an
Take
honor
care.
to play Frankie.
I'll see you soon.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, here we go. All right. Oh, what a night that was in Royal Albert Hall. That was in 2022. We did with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. We did it a few years ago with the London Symphony, and then we did it in 2022 with the Royal Philharmonic, and that was Oh What a Night. And it was so cool to have Noah Rivera on the show too. And it was so super cool to see him performing, playing the role of Frankie Valli in Jersey Boys when he stands next to him on stage in our live concerts. And the only person that as far as I know, I can't think of any other time when anybody who's performed with Frankie on stage in the live touring show and who has also played the role of Frankie Valli in Jersey Boys. But we're home for about a few weeks here before we go out. I think it's June 7th, Noah said. Our next gig is going to be at the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut, which is a fantastic venue if you're anywhere close. Yeah, I'd love to play with the Cleveland Symphony. I love doing orchestra stuff. We've performed with so many of the orchestras around the world, actually. We've done the New Jersey Symphony, of course. We've done Chicago Symphony, Dallas Symphony, Atlanta Symphony, Houston Symphony, the Pacific Symphony. We've done Atlanta Symphony, so many of them, and that's definitely one of my favorite things. But as you know, I'm from Litchfield, Illinois, which just happens to be right on Route 66, and we're going to bring on the Route 66 chick, who is also from Litchfield, Illinois. Here we go.
Get your kicks on Route 66.
All right, everybody, put your hands together. Here she is, Sherry Jet, the Route 66 chick.
Hi, Robbie.
How you doing, kiddo?
Just fine.
Hey, before we go talk about anything else, it is Mother's Day was yesterday, so happy Mother's Day to you.
Thank you so much. That was such a lovely tribute to your mother.
Yeah, and you remember my mom, don't you?
I do.
And I remember your mom. And I thought I would mention here. Let's see if I can go over to here a second. There is your mom, Charlotte.
Yes, Charlotte.
Uh-huh.
And Charlotte let's see, that photo I think was taken in the early 1950s in Springfield, Illinois.
So she obviously played accordion.
She did. That kind of came about in a strange way. I think that although maybe everyone else doesn't, that my dad was considerably older than my mother.
Uh-huh.
And he had played vaudeville. He'd gone on the road when he was about 14 or 15, and he'd played for silent movies for a while. I think he and his sister were sort of prodigies in a sense, or at least they played and sang well enough to get into the local theaters in any case. But anyway, he had worked as a professional musician and a band leader for quite a long time before he met my mom, who, as I said, was considerably younger. So at the time they met, my dad was operating a dance studio in Beloit, Wisconsin. And here's the story. My mom wanted to take ballroom dance lessons. And the rest of the story. So they got married 2 months after they met.
Wow.
And so they left Beloit and after a while, and they moved up to Wisconsin. And that was Wisconsin, but they moved up to a different town. And they opened up a dance and accordion studio.
Wow.
And so my mom eventually she had played music when she was young, piano and organ, but not accordion. And she became proficient, I think, pretty quickly. So I love this picture of her. I think she's so
Yeah, that's
lovely
a
there.
great picture. And there is and then when you guys moved to Litchfield, you had the Iker Music Center.
We did. And the business was in 4 different locations in Litchfield. And this was the last location. This is the one you could see Litchfield National Bank. And eventually, when they wanted to expand, then they took over the building and we had to move out.
I remember your parents, and there is early days in the store too. Is that your mom in the front there?
Yeah, that's my mom. Not the one with the white jacket, but the kind of medium, like gray or whatever it was, jacket to the left of the woman in the white.
Well, your mother and your father both. I would go in the music store and just hang out in the music store, and they talked to me and they counseled me, and we talked about the music business. We talked about music, and they were very inspirational, both of them, to me personally. And so I thank you for what they helped to teach me.
Well, thank you. Well, music was just their entire life. As I
Yes.
said, my dad went on the road when he was 14, 15. He always told the story that he was 14, but I found some old newspaper clippings and things, and I think he was 15, maybe even 16. But anyway, this is in Mom's later years here.
And when did the music store in Litchfield close down?
Well, my dad had passed away in 1983 at the age of 90. And he had retired a decade or two before that. And as you probably know, he was still involved in the store. And, various music projects. But my mom actually ran it then, and she kept it going to the late 1980s. And that's when she retired. So it was in business right at 30 years.
And I remember your father too. Somewhere in when I was going to college, he was studying harp and playing harp too down there, wasn't he?
He was. He came and went at the Edwardsville campus as well, and he and my mom were also going down to Carbondale also. Now SIU Edwardsville, where you and I each went, and where your mother went, and SIU Carbondale now has, for a few years, has had a what they call a co-op doc program, so that you can obtain your doctorate. And it's issued through SIU Carbondale, but you can do most of the work at Edwardsville. But they didn't have that then, and my parents were working on their doctoral degrees when my dad passed away. And then my mom just...
He was working on his doctoral degree at 90 years old. How cool is that?
No, in his 80s, yeah.
That's
They both
fantastic.
were. And after my dad passed away, then my mom just sort of, lost interest in it. She didn't have the ambition to do it anymore. But she did, even after she sold out the store, she continued to teach a handful of select students.
Well, what's going on these days in Route 66 world? Because you are the resident expert.
Well, maybe in the area.
How many books have you done? How many articles have you done about Route 66 to give the audience some perspective?
I've written 6 books that are all published by Arcadia Publishing, and actually the first 2 were community histories. So I've written 4 full books on Route 66.
Wow.
And right now I'm actually working on 3 different books, which is insane, but I'm doing it. So I am writing the Illinois Route 66 chapter for a Route 66 Centennial Anthology book. And then I'm working on a book about women and their careers and their work, whether they were, serving up pie and coffee in a diner, or they were an architect or designer or whatever. So I'm working on that on and off. And then I've just started another book, which I'll be talking about another time. So, yeah.
So now,
anyway,
now this
I've
is some
got
of the stuff that you sent me. Tell me some about these pictures here. What is this for?
You know, you might have eaten here. This is the Made Right sandwich shop.
Yes, it
And
does
it's
look
just
familiar.
about to, it's on the corner of Jefferson and Passfield. It's just a few blocks sort of due west of downtown Springfield.
Uh-huh. And it goes
And
back how
it looks,
far? It's really old,
it's
right?
just, yeah, it's just about to celebrate its 100th birthday. And that's what I wanted to announce, that they've got a big 100th birthday bash coming up. On the left, that's Sam Quasi, and he has been there for several decades. He is the nicest person.
So Abe
And
Lincoln even ate there, huh?
Abe Lincoln even eats at the Made Right sandwich shop.
it.
So great place, just a couple blocks off Route 66. So anyway, I know we've got listeners that live in Illinois, and I thought, somebody might want to go to some of this. So anyway, it's July 27th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. July 27th at the Made Right Sandwich Shop. 100th birthday party.
Awesome, awesome. Now, and what is this, Shays? What is that?
That's Shays Gas Station Museum, and that's located just a few blocks south of the Illinois State Fairgrounds in Springfield. This is on Peoria, where the street that changes from Peoria Road, 9th Street into Peoria Road. And it's there, just a few blocks south of the fairgrounds. And
It's all
Bill,
this is Route 66 centric, of course, isn't it?
absolutely. So the gentleman that had a gas station here on this corner from like the 1940s to the 1980s, then in the early 90s, Bill Shea and his wife Helen turned this station into a fabulous gas station museum, and it became a huge hit. People from all over the world stopped there. And then it closed in 2013. And just recently, it has opened up again. The official opening is, let's see, I got the date, May 20th for the media and May 21st open to the public. And that was made possible, all the things that they have done to it and renovated it, thanks to an Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity Route 66 grant.
Awesome. And by the way, you have at the top of the heading here, Route 66 milesofpossibility.com, the conference coming up in November 1st, I believe, right?
Yeah, October 31st through November 3rd in Edwardsville, my hometown, or my adopted hometown, in the fabulous historic Wildy Theater, where Robbie knows very well because he's played there now.
Thanks to you. As a matter of fact, there we are last year playing there.
Yep.
Sold out, which is super cool, of course. And we're going
and
back there.
Al Canal in the picture.
Yeah, our buddy he operates that venue. That is a classic venue that is over 100 years old, and Al manages it. And it's owned by the city, refurbished by the city, right?
Correct. It sat empty for a while, and then the city bought it, and then a group formed a nonprofit to help support it.
Oh, there's our band playing on that last year.
It was fabulous.
And that by the way, just for the audience, if you don't know, left or right, you've got Vinnie Martell from the band Vanilla Fudge. Then next to him is Travis Clower, who played Frankie Valli and Jersey Boys over 2,200 shows. Of course, we do some Frankie Valli songs in the show.
Remarkable.
And Sarah Nimitz, of course, right there, my collaborator on so many things. And then there I am behind the Hammond organ. And then we have some other musicians in there. And it was, oh, what a night that was.
And I was right down in front of your Hammond organ.
I love it. Well, we are looking forward to coming back there on November the 1st and at the Miles of Possibility Conference. And I look forward to you coming back next Monday to tell us what else is new and exciting is happening in the world of Route 66.
Come up with something, you know it. So we can't wait to see you in Edwardsville in the fall.
Well, thank you so much for everything you do. And if I can find the right clip here, I have this, I have a cool little clip that I'm going to segue. Of course, I'm looking. Well, maybe I'm not going to segue because it's just not not right there at my fingertips. I would hope to have this stuff here. But thanks again, Sherry. I will see you next Monday.
Sounds great. Thanks, Robbie. Night,
All right,
everybody.
take care. Sherry Eichert-Jett, everybody. Now, I wonder if I have that clip because, as I mentioned, we are so excited that we're putting the band back together. We mentioned it last week when Sarah Nimitz was on our show, and here is the clip that I was going to play.
Hey, get your motor running, heading on the highway, looking for adventure, or whatever comes our way. Like a true nature child, we were born to be wild. We can climb so high, I never wanna die. Born to be wild. Born to be wild. Yeah.
All right. So we are going to be there, as I mentioned, November the 1st. And it's going to be so cool to be back at the Wiley November 1st. It's a Friday night. Get your tickets, send in and get your tickets now because it only holds 325 people. And I know we're going to be sold out. And if we sell it out quick enough, maybe we can add another night. I'm trying to figure out where we can play with that band since we're all going to be in the Midwest for that week. And so we'll try to book some other dates around the area. So Wildly Theater, wildlytheater.com is how you go. And so I was talking about my mama. Well, you know what? I was interviewed not too long ago by Jill Martin on her show, and I talked about my mom there. And if I can find that clip, maybe I could just kind of play that clip. Here's me being interviewed by Jill Martin on whatever her show is called. Here it is.
Good evening. I'm Jill Martin, and this is Worth the Price of Admission. I have the incredible honor to speak to Robbie Robinson, one of the great music conductors of our time. You started music when you were
When I was
seven.
six. Well, actually, I started when I
yeah.
was 6,
Mhm.
and my mom was a piano teacher. My beloved mother, who, without my mom, I would not be sitting here with you today because she is in more ways than one, of course. But she was the person really responsible for giving me music in my life. And so she was a piano teacher. She started giving me piano lessons when I was 6. And then she realized after a year of that she was going to get me a really good piano teacher. And then she sacrificed for many, many years. She couldn't afford this teacher, but she drove me to another town that was about 10 miles away once a week. And I took these lessons from Helen Neiman in Mount Olive,
What kind of
Illinois.
car did you drive over there?
Oh, gosh. It wasn't a fancy car. It was not a Rolls Royce, and it was not a limousine. I can tell you that. It was some station wagon because we had 7 kids in the family.
I had 8. Oh my
Wow,
gosh.
so
Okay,
you can
I
relate to that.
understand, yes.
And we didn't have seat belts, and all the kids sat in the back seat, on the back of the station wagon.
Uh-huh.
And so for 7 years, I took classical piano lessons, and I really loved that. And when I was 14, I started playing in rock and roll bands, and that's when I decided I did not want to play classical music. By the way, when I was 8 years old, I started playing the saxophone and started playing in the school band, and I would play for the choir playing piano, and I would play at the Rotary Club for different things. And so I was already doing a lot of things. So when I was 14, I started playing in rock and roll bands, and I'm still playing in rock and roll bands all these years later.
And that's your favorite?
I say rock and roll. I love all kinds of music. I love classical music. I love orchestras. One of the things that I want to do, if there ever is a post-Frankie Valli era for me, is I want to go out and conduct orchestras doing the music of Frankie Valli.
I have to say that's just, It's just got to be such a magnificent feeling to stand up there and command an orchestra. And you've done it in many parts of the world.
Yeah.
Do you
that
have
is-
a favorite venue that you?
Oh, well, a number of, probably one of the greatest highlights of my career was, well, I've had a number of, but, well, I've conducted the London Symphony and the BBC Orchestra at Royal Albert Hall. And that's,
Where do you go from there?
I know.
Come on.
Well, I can tell you one of the things we did the London, well, no, let me back up. I did the London Symphony and the Royal Philharmonic at Royal Albert Hall. And I conducted the BBC Orchestra at this thing, Proms in the Park at Hyde Park for 400,000 people in the audience and broadcast over all of UK. And that was pretty heavy,
This has got to be like the greatest high ever that you've ever had.
Yeah,
Right?
it was really cool.
You know what? That was really a special night. And when we did that Proms in the Park, and that's out there too. There's actually a couple. We did a few years ago. We did July 4th. They have a special on PBS, and we performed with the what is it? The National Symphony Orchestra, which was really kind of super cool. And talk about Frankie Valli, I've got another clip of some highlights from that night in 2022, Royal Albert Hall. You'll see Noah Rivera down there singing. And let me see if I can grab that clip. Here it is. These are, here's some more highlights. You saw some of the highlights. Here's some more. Now, there was a part of that clip. I'm going to go back. I want to show you something. This is kind of fun if I can kind of scroll over to where that is. This is, when we do December 63, and when I'm rehearsing the orchestra in the afternoons usually, because typically what we'll do is we'll have one rehearsal the day of the show. Now, this one we did two nights with the orchestra, which was really cool. Here, I'm kind of looking for that place. This is, you don't usually see this with symphony orchestras. And when we do Oh What a Night, now check this out here. Here we go. Now you see, I always challenge, no matter what orchestra we're working with, I'll say, when we get to Oh What a Night and everybody stands up and singing do 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 do, I said everybody in the place is going to be standing up, clapping and singing along, and I invite them to join us. And these guys, and without fail, every orchestra does, some more enthusiastically than others. But you can see here, watch the string players and the oboe players, the bassoon players, all standing up and singing along. This is so cool. See, you just don't see orchestras doing that. It's so cool to see that. Of course, the audiences always go crazy with that song. And that is one of the great venues in the world, no question about it. We've played it dozens of times through the years. So I am going to go back to talk about Mama a little bit here, because I had a few more pictures. Again, I am so blessed to have had, and again, my prayers go out, my kudos go out, my congratulations go out to each one of you mothers out there who mean so much to this world. And here's, so there's my mom watching me play. She was always so supportive. There she is, one of our Robinson Brothers homecoming concerts. And I remember we did that on her birthday one year, and we all sang happy birthday to her from the stage, by the way, which was so cool. And by the way, speaking of birthdays, today I didn't have any clips together for this, but today is the birthday of Blue Lou Marini from the Blues Brothers. So happy birthday to Blue Lou Marini, who went back to Litchfield with us. We had two of the Blues Brothers in the 2019 concert. We had Blue Lou Marini and Bones Malone. But today is Blue Lou's birthday, and he's one of the great saxophone players out there in the world. My mom, she went back and got her PhD, and then she toured the world. She literally went to all 7 continents. Every summer she would go to a different continent, and that's her in Antarctica. How cool is that? And there we are, where it all began many moons ago. That's me with the gun and my little brother Herbie. There's Mom in an old version of my studio. Here's that's a number of years ago. Actually, that's in the same very room before we remodeled it. I had things up on boxes and stuff you can see. There's Mom and I back in the day. My mama. And, of course, she passed away on my birthday, so I'll never forget that day last year. This is the first Mother's Day without Mom being with us, although I know she's with us. That's with Mom and I and Donna and Bob Plummer, who Bob is one of the owners of the Dodgers, and who we went last week with. We went to 3 days at Dodger Stadium. Oh, there's a number of years ago. With Bob and Donna, Carl and I went, and now look at that. Wow. There's Mom and her 7 kids. Rex on the left, Herbie in the back there, Mom and me in the back row, and then Scott in the front row. and Babs, and Sherry, and Cindy. So, Mama, you are missed, and I'm so blessed to have had such an amazing mother, and I pray blessings on all you mothers out there and in your memories of your mother as well. We did have a sad thing happen here yesterday. This David Sanborn passed away yesterday, which was such a shock. Now, David was one of the really, really, really great saxophone players in our country, and he was from St. Louis, and I think, for me, he really depicts that St. Louis sound. I mean, he was a super talented guy. He was from, as I mentioned, St. Louis, and I've always said that there's a sound that comes out of St. Louis. And to me, he depicted that sound. Michael McDonald is from St. Louis. There's a sound, it's kind of a cross between it's a very soulful, bluesy kind of a sound, not quite as bluesy as the urban blues of Chicago, not quite as bluesy and as the more rural blues sounds from Memphis, but it's somewhere in between. And St. Louis has this sound that I can identify, and David Sanborn depicted that. So does Michael McDonald, and it's part of the fabric of what I do. I think is that sound of that St. Louis sound. I remember playing back in the days. I used to play these jazz clubs, these after-hours joints, and I was playing with a drummer named Philip Wilson. And Philip Wilson is the guy who brought David Sanborn from St. Louis. But now David Sanborn is a few years older than me, so I'd missed him in St. Louis there. But he went out and played in New York with Paul Butterfield. David Sanborn was, Philip Wilson was in Paul Butterfield's band, and he brought David Sanborn out to be in Paul Butterfield's band in New York, and that's where he got his start, David Sanborn. And I used to play these gigs in these after-hours joints in St. Louis. We'd play till 5, 6 in the morning in these joints. He was only 78 years old, George says. So it was a shock to hear that this morning. I had a number of people let me know about that, and apparently he passed away yesterday of prostate cancer. So, guys, get your prostates checked. Make sure. If you catch it early enough. So that is a very sad day. Now, I also mentioned Jim Masters' show. Tony Orlando was his guest today. And tomorrow, is it tomorrow? Let me see here. Joey D is going to be his guest coming up soon. I think it's tomorrow. Maybe it's Wednesday, but I think it's this week. And so make sure to check out the Jim Masters show, and you can go back and watch any of the shows. And I was honored to be a guest on his show. And as I mentioned on Joey D, by the way, as you probably know, we covered a Joey D song, just like Sarah Nimitz and I covered a Joey D song, just like we covered a Tony Orlando and Dawn song, and just like we covered a Frankie Valli song. We did our own unique version of Tell It to the Rain. And so that's kind of cool. And that's all on Robbie's Records. Of course, you can go check out Robbie's Records at robbiesrecords.com. We've got this new website. It's really cool. And so come and check us out. And I'm gonna play a song now that is a song by another one of my big heroes, and that is Andre Crouch, who's no longer with us, but he was definitely a big time inspiration to me. Andre Crouch was one of the great contemporary Christian songs. He's like the godfather of contemporary gospel music, and he wrote so many great songs. And I'm such a fan of his. This is a song that he wrote. It's called I Don't Know Why Jesus Loved Me, and it goes like this.
Where would I be without my shepherd? Where would I be without the Lord? Where would I be if sacrificed his life. Oh, oh, I'm glad, so glad he did. I don't know why Jesus loves me. I don't know why Jesus cares. I don't know why he sacrificed his life. Oh, but I'm glad, so glad he did. Where would I be if Jesus didn't love me? Where would I be if Jesus didn't care? Where would I be if he hadn't sacrificed his life? Oh, but I'm glad, so glad he did. He left his mighty throne in glory to bring to us redemption story.
Then he died, but he rose again, just for you and me.
Oh, but I'm glad, so glad he did. Where would I be without my shepherd? Hey, where would I be without the Lord? Where would I be if he had sacrificed his life? Oh, but I'm glad, so glad he did. His mighty throne in glory to bring to us redemption story.
Then he died, but he rose again, just for you and me.
Oh, but I'm glad, so glad he did. I don't know why Jesus loves me. I don't know why Jesus cared.
Why he cared.
I don't know why he sacrificed his life. Oh, but I'm glad, so glad he did.
Oh,
so glad he did. So glad he did. Oh, so glad he did. So glad he did.
I'm so glad, I'm so very glad.
So glad he did. So glad he did. So glad he did. So glad he did.
Well, I'm so glad that Jesus loved each one of us so much. And I pray God's big blessings to all of you mothers out there. Thank you, all the mothers who have touched me in so many ways. We have so many mothers in our extended family here. Of course, my mom, Barb, right there, and my wife, Carla, who's the mother of our two children, and my son's wife, Beth, who is the mother of some of our grandkids, and my daughter Lisa, who's the mother of some of our grandkids, and my granddaughter Cammie, who is a new mother this year, which is so cool. So God's been blessing to all you mothers out there. Come back and see us next week. Jam and Java, where as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to have Burley Drummond from the band Ambrosia is going to be our guest, and his family band. They have quite a cool family band. So God's big blessings to everybody out there. I will see you next Monday. Jam and Java, be there or be square. Good night, y'all.
If you ever plan to motor west, jump my way, take the highway, that's the best. Get your kicks on Route 66. Well, it winds from Litchfield to LA. More than 2,000 miles along the way. Oh, get your kicks on Route 66. And now you go through St. Louis, Joplin, Missouri, and Oklahoma City looks mighty pretty. You see Amarillo, Gallup, New Mexico. Flagstaff, Arizona, don't forget Winona, Kingman, Barstow, San Bernardino. La